slate.
A little bit louder.
Well, thanks for meeting me here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was just wanted to hear a little bit more about how your experience has been here at NISC so far.
Yeah, it's been really good. I have been here for just a little under a year, I believe. I work on the IVC Service side, so IVC Connect Service, and that's basically just making a cloud-based application that utilities use for like their customer service representatives or like for cashiers, make service orders to adjust plans or do like billing payments, that kind of stuff. What about you?
I joined about 6 months ago, back in May when I graduated, and I didn't know what I was going to be doing coming in, but most of what I've been doing is developing maps for our mobile app that utilities will use for dispatching linemen to outages and also providing linemen the ability to find outages and down lines and stuff like that. I didn't ever imagine that I would be doing this kind of work, but it's been really cool to grow. So how does your work like connect with the members or the actual people on the customer side?
Yeah, totally. So something specific that I do right now is contracts and promotions. The representatives can set up service orders to make plans for them. So say someone wants service and they get a lowered rate, but only if they stay on for 12 months. So then that's kind of what the contract is. You sign on for 12 months and there can be like fees if you like breach that contract.
Interesting.
How do you feel about like kind of like the way that your team operates and the culture of the company?
I've been really enjoying my team and just getting to know everybody, and also how helpful and respectful they've been of the fact that I came in with very little background experience. Other than my bachelor in computer science, I hadn't ever worked at an enterprise level app. And that was a very, very daunting idea to me. I mean, my team lead, he'll sit down with me for like hours and just talk me through things that are confusing me and try and help me through stuff. I don't think I could have asked for a better situation. What about you?
I had a really similar idea to what you had. My team has been super friendly. Basically, everyone's there within reach whenever you need anything. They will never shy away from a question.
Right.
So it's super nice to have that sounding board for when you need it, but then you're still allowed to take on projects by yourself and kind of piece them together as necessary without any help if you need to.
Right, yeah.
So that's super nice, I agree.
Have you made friends with anyone on your team or like hung out with anyone?
Oh yeah, I mean, most of my team actually does work in the St. Louis office.
Right.
Everybody's super friendly, and we actually do end up getting a little bit more personal chats during some of our stand-ups, so that's been super awesome, so I can get to know people better. Have you had any sort of like mentorship within the company during your time here?
I guess my team lead I would call my mentor.
Okay.
Just because he dedicates a lot of time to helping me out, and he's always I mean, we meet up for one-on-ones every 2 weeks, and definitely been the biggest hand in showing me the ropes. So what about you?
Yeah, I actually had a formal mentor situation when I first started. So that was really nice to have that like go-to person for any random questions that I may have. But I think over time it's kind of expanded out so like I can reach more people based on what the question is.
So how did you end up finding out about NISC?
Yeah, so I found out about NISC at a career fair. I saw them on the list of companies, so I ended up doing a little bit of research, talked to one of the people services representatives that were there, and I really just fell in love with the company and the person I was talking to. I was like, this sounds like a great fit for me. What about you?
Plunging through LinkedIn and Indeed, trying to find somewhere to work in Cedar Rapids, and I stumbled upon NISC, and immediately I just was like, this sounds perfect, because I actually was originally an environmental studies minor in college. I had recently been taking a course in like electrical cooperatives and just the reasoning behind it, and also just like the institutional value that cooperatives have in rural communities. And I got really excited because it was just so immediately connecting both of those worlds for me. I just immediately saw, you know, this is going to be a place where I can feel like I have a little bit more value in my work. It was awesome. I was so excited when I got that call back. Yeah, it was great. What was the thing that drew you to NISC?
For me, it was the culture of the place. I feel like that can't be said enough. I came in knowing that I really wanted a place that had a good work-life balance, and it just really seemed to click here. I can still speak to that. That's something that's gonna keep me staying for a while. They really support you having a life outside of work, and I think that the flex work schedule has been awesome that they've added recently, because it allows you to meet people, but it also lets you get the benefits of work from home. So that's been super cool. And then, yeah, I mean, I've gone to some meetups and I've gotten to meet with people that have been at the company for a while longer, and I just think that there's a lot of longevity in this company. So how was the interview process for you?
In terms of tech interviews that I went through, it was, I think, the best in terms of methodology. Most of the tech jobs that I interviewed for, they would either have me do like a really long behavioral like analysis quiz, make me sit down in a room and take this really long proctored test that someone was literally watching me over a webcam take. Meanwhile, when I come to NISC, they just sit down with me and say, talk me through how you solve this problem. And it was way more personable, and it felt like they actually wanted to know how I was as a programmer, not just that I could solve some really ridiculously hard question without any help, because that's not really what we do, you know?
Absolutely. I really enjoyed that process as well. I think that the pair programming aspect is really nice, and being able to talk someone through, because like even if you don't eventually find the answer to the problem, they might be like, oh, that was really good thinking on your part.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's awesome.
It was way more relaxed than I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I came in, I thought I was going to be needing to be dressed up, and I came with a suit and tie on, but then everyone, like I think 2 people were wearing hoodies, and like it was just really casual. They all just wanted to know who I was and if I would fit in. So it was really fun. How did you end up actually landing on the IVU Connect team?
So for me, I basically was just kind of straight up with them about what I wanted to work on, which was something that was a little more full stack, so front end and back end. And I think they kind of just landed me on that team due to that, but I'm really more than happy. I absolutely love where I've been placed.
I think I was kind of similar for me. I just told them I have experience on both sides and I'm just open to whatever, and they just said, do you want to do a mobile app? And I said, I don't know how to do that, but I'll try. And that's where I ended up. So it was interesting to just be randomly picked for that, but it's
And are you
turned out really
enjoying
awesome.
that right now?
Yeah, I've been loving it. I didn't think that I would ever be doing something like this. Like I didn't learn any of the language beforehand. I've been able to pick it up really well, and they were really nice about leading me through the ropes, so.
Was the learning process for a new language at work a bit of a steep hill?
It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm lucky that the language that I'm learning is pretty user-friendly, especially if you've learned like Python or Java, like the
Gotcha.
standards. What about you? Did you have to learn any new languages?
I came in knowing the main one that we work with, but I have had to learn like different frameworks,
Oh, okay.
which
yeah, of course.
they have generally some pretty good resources for people to use, so it hasn't been too bad. And how does the development process work for your team specifically?
Well, so we do sprints, which is, I mean, it's the typical term in the industry, but for us, it's actually usually a little bit longer than the average. It's about 6 weeks of work. You'll get like a set amount of what they call stories, which are just like different little small projects. Each of those different projects will take different amounts of time, but you're just gonna try and get those all done within the sprint. And the first time we went through that whole process, I was really like stressed. I kept like calling my boss and saying, hey, here's where I'm at with this. I'm trying to get this other piece done soon. And he was like, hey, don't stress about the time. Like, we want to get this done well. We don't want to get this done fast. I mean, I know that's not necessarily a norm in the industry as well, so that was cool. What was the process for learning the workflow?
For us, we typically get like an epic and we kind of break it down into some subtasks and organize what should come first and what features should go where in the placement. It's super nice, so you just go and grab like kind of like the next piece to it based on what you're suited for. You go through the development process there, so once you get a pretty working version of what you're going through, you'd send it to QA and they can do testing on it or send it back to you with like notes, and that's been a super good process.
Yeah, that's cool.
They definitely want better solutions rather than just getting something kicked out like we said before.
Right.
If you think that there's something that can make it better that's outside of the norm, they are more than willing to hear it. Generally, I would say that like there's like more of a standard process and that you can like kind of flow with it, but if you ever want to break that, you can.
Right, yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for meeting me for coffee. It was really nice to get to hear about your experiences here.
Thanks, you too. I mean, it was fun to hear about another perspective.
Should we get heading back?
Yeah, I suppose so.